And good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 2020 Chess Essay Online Olympiad Selection Tournament Open section. Today we are watching round 9 of the Open section, and round 7 of the Under 20 section. The Open section had 2 extra rounds yesterday. So here are the round 9 pairings. And they should start any moment soon. By the way, I still see they're struggling to update the rank after round 4 because of, I think Peaceful Warrior was missing a few games yesterday. I'm not sure if it was because of load shedding or whatever, and Masia and Nguni didn't play a game. And then Kenny also did not play a game. So, a nice system, this online chess, but there's also a few flaws. For instance, you cannot make sure that everybody's got equal playing opportunities and conditions. Some people might just have a better home atmosphere, but when you force everyone into a live chess situation, this is just one theory, you can make things more equal. But either way, maybe we're getting a higher quality chess from everyone. So far, I just know it's been very exciting. And okay, this is round 7 of the under 20 section. They only had 6 games yesterday, and their standings. Well, let's just quickly show the pairings. Round 7 over here. You can see the pairings for round 7, and the standings are pretty important here. Banele and Clear first, and actually I'd say Keith in second because Keith had a bye, so he hasn't. These two haven't lost a game. Kanya with them, but he lost against Michael Simpson over here. So that is the story so far with the pairings and the results. And I'm guessing we'll start to get games in soon. So I'm gonna get off of the pairings and results. Just be ready for when the games start. The players tend to start a minute early, so here goes again. Duji versus the real Frenchie. Roberto Dabri over here is the real Frenchie. I'm not sure who Duji is. It's still unclear from yesterday. Did not figure it out. And okay, they're going to be running through theory. Both these players know the line, although it is interesting that Roberto is going into a think already. I would be thinking he would blitz out some interesting preparation. Any other games have started? Let's see if any other games have started. Here we go. Johan Steenkamp versus Lupus Full Men. Okay, and Lupus Full Men has gone for a London, put his bishop outside of this pawn chain, and I don't know. Steenkamp is not someone to go down in the opening very quickly, so Lupus Full Men is setting up a very long strategic game, which might not be to his benefit. Steenkamp, I think, has been missing some tactics lately, but long positional struggles, this is definitely his speciality. Okay, Michael versus Fusi Musi. This game is also starting. And we have Mr. Trophy Master versus Keith Kamalu in the under 20 section. This game has also started. Keith already with what now looks like a French pawn structure. I think Keith's position is very comfortable and flexible. He's already challenged the center. He only needs to worry about this light squared bishop. Though f6 is now more tricky to play because your knight is further away, but we'll see what he comes up with. Dry Pen versus Kanya Mazibuko. This game is also rolling. And, well, I think most games have started. Panele, Pandabird. Pandabird very aggressive with, I think, e4, c5. I always forget what they call this attack. I want to call it the Ferrari attack, but it's got like a name like that. And we have a Sveshnikov in this game. Interesting. And theory, just take the knight. That's one option. Knight d5, I think is maybe more common and mainline. And now you take the knight. And c4 actually. Two approaches here. One relatively safe, c3. One super aggressive, which is c4. But white not risking too much in this position. Devon, I think, feels he can keep and hold the black side of the position. This is Keegan Agalis versus Devon Smith. Let's see, have some of the other games started. Marcia and the Sneaky Weasel. They have started, and this is also from the open section. Marcia is the youngest player actually in the open section versus the Sneaky Weasel. Marcia, I think, gave away a bishop for a knight somehow and doubled these pawns. So let's see how that happened. Okay, it's just the French variation of the Sicilian with e6, and Marcia just gave it away immediately. And well, there's something to be said for the way he's playing. It's very comfortable for him. Comfortable position, hasn't risked too much. And my favorite player, I think, Peaceful Warrior, hasn't started his game yet. Hakia as well, not in the game yet. Kenny Willenberg versus Kenny Solomon. It's the battle of the Kennys in this game. Kenny Willenberg with the white pieces versus Solomon, our South African Grandmaster, with the black pieces. And Kenny goes rook d1. I think I've seen him play this line in a previous game as well. And he might have reason to keep this rook on a1. That's usually his point. But Kenny Solomon, the Grandmaster, is struggling very much so in this event. And I think, well, some might view it as a bad sign for the Grandmaster and the quality of his play, but I don't know, I view it as a good sign for the quality of the tournament in general. If rapid time controls cause so much disturbance in a player, his playing ability, it's not completely classical, then I actually really do like the time control for the future of chess, actually. Classical, this is kind of slow for a rapid game, but we did actually get a flagging situation yesterday where Kenny was able to flag his opponent in this time control. So it's not classical, but you're still in flagging territory. And Kenny now with d5 playing for the center. And I think I was saying we can expect some interesting opening preparation from Roberto. And I'm not sure how he got here, but the knight is now on g7. So you need to kind of be careful. Stuff like knight e5 is possible because of the spin. And you can maybe play g5 with some hopes of attacking the bishop. But I'll simply trade with tempo against the queen. You need to recapture. I'll move my bishop. And suddenly you've made some holes in your position. H4 will come. This bishop is definitely landing on H5. So Doji here, I think the move you're looking for is knight E5. Planning to put this bishop on H5 later. But then again, Robert is the type of guy just to leave the knight on E5, not respond at all. So it's really probably just a matter of taste. What you 95 and bishop here, maybe that he's not going to play something like G5 to press matters. So I think that's what Doji's looking at. Maybe Roberto is hoping for knight E5. So I think the interesting prep kind of came after knight H5, hitting this bishop, and only G3 is really available, and G5. So after bishop G5, F6, bishop H4, and G6, kind of a committal move. And bishop E2, knight G7. Bishop E2 setting up, I think, some ideas even of knight E4. And just captures, maybe not knight E4. And Ducci just plays bishop G3. He says he'll come back for, he'll make some space for the H-pawn. There's not much to be said. It looks pretty knight E5, but in reality there might not be much behind it. And playing forwards maybe prematurely. Craig Willenberg against Roland Poseidonhood, and I think Roland is dominating this event. Roland had I think it was against the Peaceful Warrior yesterday, last game yesterday. No, that wasn't Guni. Yeah, in Roland's last game yesterday, he beat Kenny Willenberg very quickly. But you kind of get the feeling that Kenny was not happy to play the event anymore. Just blitzed out the game and went to bed maybe. Tried to sleep off the day's losses. Okay, so this is also looking pretty standard. This is actually a great matchup. I was wondering who Lupus Full Man was, and apparently it's Charles de Villiers. No, that's great stuff. Glad he's playing in this event. So this is a battle of the oldies. And we do have a London from Charles. F6 from Steenkamp, and now C4 striking the center. So this is really a game between two veterans over here at Lupus Woman. I was just curious as to the blitz rating of this player, so I don't think Charles plays too much blitz. I'm actually just curious as what he gets up to on his account. Yeah, he barely plays. Some days he plays a lot of blitz games. July 5, he maybe played more blitz than I do. Okay. Michael Simpson and Vuzi already heading to an endgame. This game just flew by, but it's probably just because of this variation trading down. And white is down a pawn, but I don't think it's too bad. These pawns are doubled, and you've got this bit of space, and Michael Simpson's already using it to maneuver the knight. Maybe knight g5, knight c5, this type of thing with rook d1 maybe, or even just rook back. Oh no, can't go there yet. It looks nice. So I'm guessing he'll play knight c5, rook d1, or something. I think there's some situations where maybe this knight becomes too active and the bishop... No, there's no situation like the one I imagined, but somehow in my mind I want to play knight d6. One day clog the king up and go back rank. But there's a lot of things obviously in the way, and it's this bishop and knight. And also I think simply just king moves away. Stops that dream as well. So get the rook maybe. But it's nice to kind of see these patterns and try and figure out some ideas. Yeah, so rook d1 is the idea, going after this weak pawn. He'll play bishop c5. If knight to the center, you'll just trade it off, I guess, and recapture. And there'll be long-term pressure on d7. That's why maybe starting with knight c5 would have been stronger. To make sure you get this trade. I don't know, Vusi plays knight d5 immediately. No, it's probably just fine. I mean, knight there. Knight c5. Sorry, so let's start knight d5, knight c5, and knight to e3. Seems pretty clever. Vusi, I think, is forced to play knight d5 here. If he doesn't play it, I'm not sure what he's playing for, what other ideas he's got. But if knight d5, maybe Michael will need to start with king f2 to keep the knight out. So knight e5, king f2, and then try for knight c5 with the bishop entering as well. King f2 is necessary just to stop this fork. So I'm guessing this might be what we see now. And after that, I'm not too sure. Okay, let's go on to the next game. Okay, this player I did not see yesterday, Harvey Zapata. And playing against my friend Mark Hansen. Mark is playing not too far away from me at the moment. He's playing about... He doesn't live too far away from me. He's about 200 meters that way. So, depending on where you watch the video, that's where Mark lives. And... So, yeah, he's also having to deal with this very cold morning in Potchefstroom. It is spectacularly cold. I don't know how I got out of bed, but there, a lot of these houses have tiled roofs, and there's ice just all over the roofs. Looks pretty cool. It's like this glistening, but it's very cold. So Mark has won a pawn on the queen side. And just blitzed out queen b3. Maybe too confident with this because rook a3 was blitzed back. So wait, he's playing a blitz game, Mark. Okay, excuse me. I'm analyzing Mark's blitz game here as if it's a rapid game in the tournament. Excuse me, but he's not in a pairing. He might have a bye for this round. I was thinking c4 looks very fun. The queen b3 blitzed out, and we are just watching a casual game over here. So let's get to an actual game. The wolf, the black pieces, he's changed up this position quite a lot. I was saying he just needs to worry about his knight squared bishop. So let's see where we left. We left round about here maybe. So the wolf started with h5. We had h4 and then d4. So interesting that you'd start with h5 to get h4 and then only play d4. I wonder what the difference is. Going d4 now. I just think the wolf is playing what he feels needs to be done in the position. Oh, I think maybe it's because knight d5 now comes with a threat against the bishop, and then maybe you're trying to aim at this pawn or something. So remaneuvering a trade, And the wolf has got a nice d4 pawn, even though it's isolated. It's a thorn in white's position. And black now still needs to do something about his light squared bishop. But I think he's very happy with what has happened. So Keith with a very comfortable position here. Nothing seems too risky. Mr. Dry Pen and Kanya. Kanya's got a backwards d6 pawn. This definitely came from a Sicilian. Nope. I love it when I say definitely, and this kind of looks like a Roy Lopez as well. Yeah, I think this came from a Roy Lopez. And it's funny how a Roy Lopez structure, after a few moves, resembles the Sicilian. And here's the crucial moment. White has managed to make the d6 pawn a backwards pawn, which you can attack as in any Sicilian structure. Also, still need to worry about f7 now. Liking how Mr. Dry Pen is playing the position. I think I've asked already, but forgetting who Dry Pen is. Actually, Dry Pen is using up a lot of time. Maybe not necessary for him to be thinking so long. He's going to cause some trouble for himself. Okay, making a move here is not too clear. But Queen B1. I'm thinking maybe he wants A3 and even to double up like this. It seems strange. But maybe it's okay, because you can put something on d5 as well. There's room for your bishop maybe to fall back. I don't know if you want to counter develop, as the arrows I'm showing are doing, but Panda Bird, Panele. When did we leave the game? The Panda Bird playing hyper aggressive chess over here, with both f4 and h4 in the position. G3 being shot at, and Panele is going to like the fact that his opponent's king might be a bit exposed. Some room for the knights to enter. And that being said, it doesn't seem like there's a great way for white to play forwards yet. So let's wait and see. In Keegan Agallis versus Devin Smith. Keegan has won a pawn. Yeah, they were playing in the Sveshnikov, and Devin needed to give away the d6 pawn. I guess it was defendable. Oh, but then you're looking at queen takes. No. What? Okay, so Devin just wanted counterplay, but I think rook f6, and you're fine. Okay, so maybe that was a blunder by the guy that wins. Let's hope that does not cost him the game. Just do another sound check. Okay. Sound. Marcia and the Sneaky Weasel. Marcia traded in the French variation of the Sicilian on c6. And, well, we've got an interesting looking pawn battle happening over here. We've got the pawn that looks like the smiley face pawns attacking what looks like, I don't know what this makes me think of. Maybe just Tetris block. But that's kind of a copped out. It's like a question mark red from over here with a dot, and then the question mark pawns versus the smiley face pawns. And what would happen if there's a trade here? Then this would no longer be a smiley face, and this would no longer be a question mark. But structurally, maybe this b4 break, Marcia might be helping his opponent. Because d5 is also now possible. Tempo against the b4 pawn. And, well, white will need to make a choice which pawn he takes. I mean, he could probably just sit on the decision for a while. Maybe Marcia's plan is now after d5, knight c5. But the sneaky weasel, this guy, you don't want to give him too much. He'll walk over you. King h8. So the sneaky weasel doesn't want d5 or anything. He's afraid of queen b3. Remember now, the sneaky weasel actually has kind of what looks like a Dutch situation for himself. Except this is maybe a bit nicer because he doesn't have the bishop on g7. So the diagonal might not be too weak. Also, bishop on f6 seems to do a better job than on g7. Okay, so Peaceful Warrior is still not playing today. Matpon and Hakia have started. And jumped into a Scandinavian. We're just watching the opening moves. So unfortunately they started a bit late, so they're gonna make this first round a bit longer. And I was hoping for a break between rounds, but thanks to these two guys, I'm gonna have to stick out. Had a long night and back to the commentary again. So yeah, how did this come about? This is now the two Kenny's game. As you could expect, Kenny Willenberg is a guy that I think we even left it roundabout here after Kenny Solomon, Mr. Grandmaster Kenny Solomon played d5. Kenny just ignored it and closed the position in the center so that he could start a flank side attack. And let's see how that has been working out for him. And he sacked on h5. I'm liking the sacrifice. And Kenny Solomon now needs to deal with Willenberg's hyper-aggressive style. And this last move must be very confusing to you guys as well, because it's very confusing to me. Bishop h6. You can maybe ask yourself what happens if bishop takes, because it seems just to be a piece. And I'm doing the same, as well as the fact that f2 is hanging with check. So let's try and see what's behind this. Okay, so he just starts with rook takes f2, check. And I'm expecting bishop takes h6. I'm not seeing Kenny Willenberg's idea. I'm not seeing it. What happens after bishop takes h6? Somebody help me. And that's exactly what happened. Where's the move? There's a queen sacrifice. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, so queen takes rook. Smother the king, but the queen can give herself away. Rook takes, but and now you're still playing with tempo against this bishop, at least for one move. But I'm thinking bishop f5. Stuff can still, because that stops rook g2, doubling. Yeah, and it's this type of move that really just ends the game. Kenny Solomon will be playing with 3 pieces versus a rook, and that is not good. 3 pieces, 3 minor pieces. I'll even take what? Okay, so So here was actually compensation after all of this. But okay, that's still two minor pieces. What a cool line, actually. What a cool line. I actually missed that ended with a fork. I thought he was only attacking the bishop, but I kind of forgot about the knight on c6. White offers draw in this position. They might agree on it, because White's got the positive feature in his position that Black's king is very boxed. And he can maybe try and play with these two rooks. Well, that's not clear. Unless Black has got a 2-move threat, actually. So Black declines draw. Okay, so what is this about? If knight g5, it's actually not possible. You can just play rook h6 check, make a draw like this or something. But so the knight getting here would have been detrimental. But White now giving up the g5 square. I'd be very scared to do that. Yeah. Maybe. You're gonna have to play for your life now. There's a line which works. Knight to e7, knight g3, threatening the mate. But then suddenly rook takes a g7, king moves, and rook falls back to g2 to stop the mating threat. So I think this actually works. So Solomon would have to play something else, and I'm expecting king g7 is the move, and then you can take the bishop. I wonder if there are more tricks to stop this mating idea. I think rook takes check is maybe your only king moves, and then maybe rook takes knight, trying to convert into. I think this is a great line actually for Willenberg. Knight e7, king g7, rook takes, bishop, king moves or whatever. Doesn't need to move, right? No, it needs to move, it's in check. King f7, rook takes knight, because the king is forking the rook and the knight momentarily. And there he goes for it. Willenberg finds it. He'll be... Wait, there's a part of the line I'm missing. Is there? Do GM's mate like this? So you could be going for the other rook. Be careful to play stuff like that. Allow him to take a rook. You can take it with check. Pick up the knight as well. And actually it's still better. White has actually got such a cool position. I'm glad they're playing down this line. It feels better for White. Solomon's position is still actually devilishly tricky. You can't. Okay. Come on. How do you mate Black for being greedy with that a3 pawn? There's got to be something here. It would be great for Willenberg to get in this one. I think you can actually play this now and get your king out of the way. I'm not sure what the follow-ups are. King h5 is anything, or okay. This was an interesting game. So far, we'll get back to it. It seems to be going into endgame, and we are now seeing, I think, this idea. Unless there's a decent way of mating, which I'm not seeing, Solomon might be in the driver's seat again. Duji and Roberto. Duji, I think, no. Duji is slightly worse here, playing with a knight versus bishop in a very open endgame. And also not a lot of time on the clock. Craig Willenberg playing against Roland Besadenhout. And Gregor's up a pawn. It's not a bad pawn, but he's playing against the bishop pair, and not too many weaknesses in Roland's position. I'm just expecting quick bishop g6. Oh, you can't actually. Queen takes. Gregor finding a nice idea here that'll need to be dealt with. And the two veterans are in time trouble. Steenkamp has lost a pawn somewhere. I think we kind of left the game round about c4. And Steenkamp traded in the center. And finally, I guess, he played d4 when and stopped defending the pawn after a while. So this is the position. Players with 40 seconds on the clock. The knight on g6 is beautiful. Stopping coordination by black. Steenkamp trying to get his rook active. Knows the game is moving into time pressure area, where it might be dependent on how quickly you move in these next few moves. And look at that active post for his rook, all the way to d1. And back to d7, just to get it moving, I suspect. And king f7. Steenkamp really highlighting the fact that his rook can go to d1. And does knight, yeah, I was saying knight f4. I think his opponent blundered knight f4. So knight d3, king e2, knight takes, rook takes, rook g2 or something. Steenkamp's fine with this rook pawn endgame. He's going to show us some good theory over here. I suspect, I'm not going back to the Willenberg Solomon game yet. I suspect it will be Kenny Solomon's game. The endgame they transitioned into just suited Solomon. So it was such an interesting middle game position. And white just trying to make a passed pawn. Not sure if rook b1 is an idea. That would be interesting because of c5. Rook takes b4, and then you need to push the passed pawn. Yeah, you need to take the pawn. And suddenly it is black's rook becoming inactive. But black can now pick up this pawn. The king and rook are close by. Steenkamp knows it. Play rook c7, I guess. King moves, giving up the c4 square. And this is a game by two players that have definitely read a few books on endgame theory, so or especially rook pawn endgames. Invested some time in it. That's why this check is given. Okay, Steenkamp using quite a lot of time over here. Let's see what happened in the other games. Vusi and Michael Simpson will be making a draw, I guess. I'm not seeing how the knight does anything weird. Mark has just continued playing blitz, and I keep on going to his games. And the Wolf and Trophy Master. How's the Wolf going to convert this? Another interesting endgame where the Wolf needs to somehow get rid of this knight that can perpetually go between h3, g2 and f4 and just stop everything else. That's going to be a tough job, but at least it feels like he doesn't need to risk too much by doing it. I mean, there's got to be a way. We'll see. Kanya has one on the clock. I think dry pen went down in a position that I kind of... Queen b1 was one of the features of the position. Queen b1, and this is where we left the game. And bishop takes g2. Nice find. Says there's no attack happening, I'll just take the pawn on g2. Thank you very much, open this file. A nice win by Kanya. And Banele and the Panda Bird. Banele will be winning this game. And the conversion is near. Just king up. And mate. Okay. Gullis resigned against the guy that went, Steven Smith. Not sure how he managed this. He was down a pawn. And the only thing he really played was the d4. Started coordinating on the king side. And just attacked for his life, I guess. Okay, so there was a queen blunder. Okay. Let's see, I'm interested as to what is happening in Steenkamp. In Steenkamp's game. Steenkamp, wait, is he going to draw this? Okay, so they transitioned, they were in a rook pawn endgame. Probably very complicated stuff we missed around about here. Black resigns. Oh no, Steenkamp goes down. Kind of left it over here. Oh, I think Steenkamp didn't evaluate c6 too well, because he needed to run back with his rook. Still a cool looking endgame. The pawn's in the corner, unfortunately. Steenkamp knows Charles de Villiers will be able to convert this endgame. The pawn is also just one square too far away. So interesting. And then I'm interested to see Black resigned. What? Oh my word. Kenny Solomon went down. Oh my word. White won. And I think I was saying this is not a win for White by looking at the endgame. So what happened? Kenny Solomon lost the rook pawn endgame. And his king is just too far away. Black resigns. Well done, Kenny Willenberg, on that great victory. Who is still playing? Vusi and Michael are still playing. And Michael will be trying to get rid of this this pawn on g7. I think... okay. Keith and... Keith and his opponent have made a draw, so this really puts Banele in the lead. Banele just won this round, so there's no getting rid of the knight. Okay. Okay, so I'm getting a message from Mr. Duji. It's Hainku playing in the open section. Let's see what happened with his game. Kia, Enachi. These guys started a bit late, so they're gonna make me very tired this round, because now I feel compelled to also watch their games. So I'm rooting for one of them to slaughter the other very quickly. Another round where Solomon goes down. Duji took down. No. Roberto took down Mr. Duji. I was saying this endgame seems to suit black with the bishop. It did. Craig won against Roland Poseidon. Note, this is a big win. Making sure that first place spot it becomes malleable and available again for someone else. I'm not sure what the open section standings are, but I'm sure this is good news for other players. And I think one of the impressive moves that caught my eye during the game was Queen h5. Oh, the Bishop g6 was actually played. Guessing that Queen takes will just be met by Rook takes. And you need to play Queen c1 then to defend your own Rook. And after Rook takes c1, Queen takes c1, your pawn on c4 is hanging. So, interesting. Steenkamp losing in a Rook pawn endgame. Simpson and Michael did make a draw at the end of the day. Mark is still playing some blitz. Keith and the Trophy Master made a draw. Kanya and Drypen. Kanya took down Drypen. Banele won. Keegan Nagales lost because of the queen. And for now, let's just... I think this game is going to overlap with the next round in any case. Or... well, pretty close, if not... But I think I'm going to make a break, and I'll tell you guys the results of this game after at the start of next round. This game just started a bit late. In any case, thanks for watching. See you guys now for what will be round 10 for the open section and round 8 for the under 20 section. Thank you.